Most people think that influence comes from talking about your own work, but some of the most powerful influence moves is in supporting someone else. Welcome to How to Get What You Want. This podcast is for driven women ready to claim their goals and navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Join me as we explore real stories, tools, and strategies to help you steer your career exactly where you want to go. Let's get started on helping you get what you want. Hi, and welcome. I'm so happy that you made the choice to be here today. We are going through the R.A.I.S.E framework, the real essential decisions, the things you need to think about that will differentiate you from others in your career, and it accelerates your exposure, your movement, how people perceive you. It's essential and really important. And speaking of that, before I go into it, I just wanted to mention that I have it open right now for people to join the Career Level Up. It's a 6-month program. You get one-on-one time with me, and you get a live cohort of like-minded people that will support you, will get you to think things out loud and really think about your challenges and what you need to do. Not only the things that you're facing and how do you move through them, but also where do you need to invest? Doing some of these things intentionally. When you have an accountability, when you have a group, when you have insights from others, that's where the differentiator for you will happen. That's when acceleration happens, when people are a part of this investment in their future self. So if you want more information, run over to negotiationlove.com. I have a special button there. You can read more. Or if you want to ask me a question, there's a place there to do that as well. So let's jump right in. So far, we've talked about recognizing the moment, aligning to the other side, and inserting value. And this one is about, how do you see others? How do you hand the microphone to somebody else? How do you support someone else? And we might do this just out of just a normal response, but I really want you to think about, especially when you have influence, it's your responsibility to consider, how do you support somebody else in the room? And even if you don't have influence, if you're just new in the organization, that's okay too. When you support others, and I'm going to give you some examples of that, you show people that you want to build trust, that you care about what everybody's trying to solve, and you put others before your own interests. It's so powerful. It's really where influence multiplies, and support is often underestimated and misunderstood. People think supporting others will diminish or dilute their value because that means they're aligning with somebody else. And it does just the opposite. It really shows that it's not all about you. And it's about, how do you support others? How do you make sure that people understand that you really want the best for the room? It's not about being nice or agreeable. It isn't just about, rah and saying you did a great job. In fact, I think that can be, the people that do that too often, their impact diminishes and their voice diminishes because they are just always there for everybody. Those aren't the people that are making the impact. It's actually the people that don't do it often, but do it intentionally. So support is about using your value, especially when silence could be easier for somebody else or for you. And you know what? Think about this. When we're silent instead of supporting somebody else, you know what goes through their mind? They think, that wasn't that important. That idea didn't land. I shouldn't have said that. Nobody understands what I'm saying. Oh my gosh, I certainly definitely dealt with that. So when you have no reaction, you stay silent. The message you're sending is, I didn't value your contribution. And that might not be true. It makes me think of, I've noticed in coffee shops one time that if somebody would look me up and down that I didn't know, I would automatically think, they don't like what I'm wearing. They're judging me. They think this, that, or something else about me. And I started watching myself, and I recognized that when I do that to others, I'm going just the opposite. I'm going, wow, that's a really cute outfit. Or, ooh, I like how confident she looks. Or, oh, that man is so great with his kids, something like that. And I started making the commitment that instead of just keeping that to myself, especially if they see me looking at them, I will intentionally tell them, I was just admiring this about you, or I was just noticing this, because I think that it's really important for us to get outside of our head, especially if our intention is to support. When we don't say it, we could be sending just the opposite message. So when you do it publicly, you're really supporting somebody else's ideas, their contribution, their work. And then other people notice that too. Like, think about it. When you've heard somebody else support somebody else, it's kind of like, wow, that was really nice. I really think that I agree with them. Support builds trust, influence, and when you have influence, that creates more impact and it gets everybody involved. It really matters. When I speak in front of people, connection, I thrive on connection, nonverbals. And it's okay to ask for what you need too. And I often, especially I remember one time I was speaking in front of a group of engineers who tend to be introverts, and they listen intensely and they don't move a lot of times. And I remember telling them, I thrive on interaction. If you could just give me some head nods, if you can, like show me that you're connected. And it was really funny because I could tell that those movements felt awkward. It didn't look to me like it was natural. But halfway through, I was like, oh my gosh, I really feel your support. That support of having somebody just show me that they're connected was the difference. And when people don't do that for me, I automatically in my head, this happened to me one time too. I had a friend in the back of the room when I was presenting, and everybody was writing down things. And I subconsciously thought, oh my gosh, I'm losing them. They're not paying attention. And my friend in the back of the room finally goes, Susie, can you slow down? People are trying to take notes. And so while I thought people were disconnected, I started going faster because I wanted to get done. And they were listening. They were like trying to understand, and I wasn't giving them the opportunity. So your subconscious can really play havoc on you. Like, I'm losing them, I'm speeding up because I wasn't being supportive. So you want to let people know, even if it's afterwards and you didn't have the opportunity in the moment to say, hey, you had such great ideas in there. I know the room didn't stop and really take note, but I want to really encourage you to continue to go. It stabilizes them. It makes them understand that, yes, they are worthy. And so many times we miss the fact that silence may feel like it's neutral, but it can be actually sending a different message than we intend it to be. So you may be thinking, I agree. I respect that. That was a good point. But when you don't say it out loud, they don't know. And that silence really, it can make other people shrink. Support is so important. It says, I see you. That matters. Keep going. It can be as simple as, Maggie saying a comment and Ralph jumps in and just starts going down a different path. And when he's done, say, hey, I really love what you said, but I want to go back to what Maggie said. I wanted to make sure I understood. Could you go through it one more time? Help me understand that. And let's dwell there for a minute. It's not being disrespectful to him and going back to her. And I didn't mean to make it a man-woman thing. I just made up those. I was just making up names off the top of my head. It's about respectfully in the meeting going back and making sure that person was heard when you recognize that everybody's kind of plowing over them. I remember okay, so here's my point. Also, you never know when what you say really lands. You never really know where that support can make a difference. And when I was early in my career, I remember telling my friend John, I really don't like to manage people. And he goes, it shows. And I was like, okay, leadership is a two-way street. And I really needed to invest in my being a leader that showed up for others. But in those times, I didn't have the skills yet or the wisdom. Not that I have all the wisdom yet. We're always moving, we're always growing. But a few years ago, somebody that worked for me during that era saw me on a flight and wanted to sit by me and shared with me that I gave them a piece of advice way back when that had stuck with her for her whole career. I'm like, I don't remember that day. I don't remember that advice. But gosh, thank goodness I showed up that day. That landed with her in a way that stuck with her. And I'm not trying to ring my own bell, but you never know. Always show up. Thank goodness I showed up that day. Your support that you give to somebody can linger on their entire career. So when you're in a meeting and you take note, especially when you have influence, to make sure that everybody has a voice, what can you do to call on Heidi that hasn't said anything and ask, do you have anything to contribute? Or before the meeting, when you know that Heidi is very quiet, invite her, say, you know what, I'm going to call on you because I know it's not that comfortable for you to just jump in. So be ready. Or say, you know, Heidi, that was a really important point. Let's build on that. I appreciated your perspective. I want you to continue to share. Those are so powerful. Those are powerful moments. So what it looks like, it's redirecting credit. It's reinforcing unfinished ideas. And it's also advocating for someone when they're not in the room. You know, when we are leaders and we have that expanded view of what opportunities are, being able to support somebody and not necessarily somebody on your team. You know, some of the support that is so meaningful is from leaders that aren't in your direct reporting, like, because they notice you. So how can you break the silence for others? How can you build and help build their reputation and help them make sure that their voice is heard? Support is so important. And it's really the long game. Once you get known for supporting others, people understand that. They trust you. They come to you. They look to you for advice and support. So it's really important. You know, what's funny is negotiators really understand this instinctively because relationship equity is currency. It's how people get things done. It's, you know, people want to do work with people they know, like, and trust, and support builds that for others. And it compounds those relationships. It provides access for others, and it provides opportunity. When you support others, that influence supports you later. And that's not about doing that for that means. But when you think about it, it is so important to do. And it is kind of like when you're going through and somebody buys the coffee for you in front of you and you are so appreciative of them doing that, that you do it for the next car behind you. It's that same idea of when you support somebody, they understand how meaningful that is and they give it to others. So you're creating a chain effect. You're helping people understand how important that is. So it takes effort to make ideas like this stick. And the research shows that you have to implement in 72 hours. So here's my mission for you to do in the next 72 hours so you don't forget. Support somebody out loud. In a meeting, in a hallway, in an email, when they're there or when they're not. How can you support somebody? How can you put on those glasses to go, okay, who can I support today? Who can I support in this room? So that you raise their hand. That's what this is all about. Support in R.A.I.S.E is about how do you give them the microphone? How do you give them the confidence? How do you shine a light on them? Because when you help somebody else be seen, people start paying more attention to you and you give that person a voice. You give them the confidence that they need. Support is so important. There is a value to you, but there's such a bigger value to the person that you support. I get so excited about this framework because it reminds us how important it is to recognize the moment, to think about the other side, to insert our own value, and also support those around us. And those are the things that in R.A.I.S E that you can do every day. The next episode, we're going to talk about elevate. And that's a little bit more strategic. The first 4 letters of R.A.I.S E are about intentionality in your everyday. E is elevate, your differentiator. It's about acknowledging what makes you different, what makes you unique. And you know what? We are infinitely developable. And that starts with understanding the core of where you want to go. So that's our next one. I am so excited that you decided to be here today. If there's somebody that you want to support, that you want to give them this episode because you want them to listen, it's a win-win. It shows them that you want to support them. So feel free to share it with them. If you have any questions for me on negotiationlove.com, I've added a little box that you can ask me a question or tell me how this landed for you. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget that negotiation is more than a skill. It's a mindset. Until next time, I'm Susie. I appreciate you.